Good morning, Dave TI here. So yesterday I read a comment asking me about how to tame a demon and Project Soulcatcher and how that's going, and I've been totally unfocused. So I'm gonna cover some of that today. We're gonna talk about silent assassination through adaptive networks again, and other things, techniques. So if you're a victim of mind control, neural weapons, psychotronic weapons, then you'll be interested in the information I have today. First thing I'm going to cover before I get into this is this. As y'all know, YouTube demonetized me. I only made like $60 a month at the most, usually about 50 because I did not put ads in the middle of my um, channel thing because I felt like, well, if people want to hear information, they don't want to be interrupted by ads in the middle. So that's why I never put ads in the middle of my thing. So but anyway, it kind of sucks because that was my money to pay for Zoom and Wondershare, and stuff like that. So if you'd like to help out, I'm not asking. I'll still do videos no matter what. Just please inquire on what my PayPal is or my Cash App, and we'll go from there. You can even email me and ask me. And I might put it in the description. I might not. I don't like putting it in the description because I don't want people to think I'm asking for money. I'm not. But if people offer to help out, the funds will go towards the right things. Um, I am a self-supporting channel, and even though I'm not monetized anymore, I'm going to keep putting content out because I feel it's very vital and it's saving some lives. Um, so anyway, the next thing I want to cover before I start reading is this. Rest in peace, Andy Boswell. He was a TI, um, and he was exposing stuff, and he died in his home. Now I've tried to find out what happened, and I try to carry on and remember targets' names and all that, and to try to remember because I feel like they need to be heard. They need to be remembered, just like anybody else gets remembered. A TI should be remembered also. So Andy Boswell's right here. I don't know if y'all knew him. He made videos sometimes. He was a very positive TI, considering what was happening to him. He tried to keep. Uh, he did a lot of stuff on spiritual warfare and stuff like that. He did a video on gang stalking. I might share that if y'all would like me to. Just let me know and I will share that. All right, so let's get into rest in peace, Andy Boswell. Um, Let me see what it says. It said I'm gonna read his obituary too. Andrew Boswell, born December 29th, 1973 in Rochester, Minnesota, passed away in his home on April 2nd, 2025, 51 years old. A graduate of John Marshall High School, Andrew went on to pursue technical training at Dakota College Technical College, where he studied to become an electrical lineman. His dedication to his craft and strong work ethic were evident throughout his life. Andrew was deeply rooted in family and faith, as loving remembered by his daughters, and he also survived by his mother. Andrew found joy in simple pleasures of life, but riding his motorcycle down open road, working out in the gym, determination and focus, he embraced each day with energy. Time spent in the garage was his favorite pastime. And I'm sorry, my cat, when I don't show him attention, we have a little thing of Mylar they like to get in and hide, and he's making a lot of noise. She's making a lot of noise because she wants attention. I think we show him way too much attention, but we love our cats. So she gets mad and starts making a lot of noise when she wants me to play with her. So I'll play with her after this. But anyway, it says time spent in the garage, favorite past, tinkering with tools, or simply enjoying the solitude it offered. His love for dogs was unwavering, and they treasured every moment spent with them. Above all else, Andrew held a deep spiritual conviction. Reading the Bible, sharing the Word of God was central to his life's purposes. His faith guided him and served him as a source of strength and inspiration to those around him. May Andrew's memory bring comfort to those who knew him and serve as a lasting reminder of a life lived with a purpose and a heart. Just another TI speaking out who was found dead in his home. Um, so I ask that y'all keep him in y'all's memory, him and his family. I think it's important if a TI passes away or something that we do memorials for them, and speak out on their behalf and keep their name remembered. Very important in my opinion. Um, when somebody famous dies, they throw throw all kinds of stuff, funerals, big funeral services and stuff like that. So why shouldn't we remember target individuals who suffered and died at the hands of experimentation and other things? Okay, human beings are the disease and we are the cure. That's what Agent Smith from the movie The Matrix said. Let us summarize the various techniques that we learned so far about the Satan system. And Satan stands for silent assassination through adaptive networks. Personality overlays, also called personality simulations by the DoD, collections of toxic, pathological, and sociopathic thought, mind virus selections, human algorithmic cloning scripts and assassinations, mind probing database of over thousands of pre-recorded pains from other people ranging from open heart surgery, to a gunshot to the head, to the nausea, to vertigo, to broken limbs, to headaches, to eye pains. Every pain can be recorded and played back. Even emotional pain like depression, suicidal thoughts can be induced with the system. More abstractly, the system includes pain leashes, personalized distributed wall-less internment camps, electronic fences, and mental disablement, mind prisons. The reverse is also true, forcing people to stay on the move through pain stimulus, driving a person insane through a changing pattern of correlations, short-circuiting the brain, depattern random palliative reassociation. Overall, Satan's system includes many sub-programs like Elisa, Alice, and Tammy. Remember that these artificial speech responders amplifiers a negative messaging to demoralize, create despair, and disable and discredit. Remember, the verbal tactics these programs are to talk them to their death. Satan is a scalable and automated operating system. It can switch vocabulary sets based on reading the target's mood. This is the modern version of McGill's University research on brainwashing by Dr. Ewan Cameron, who used to track loop recordings on his unwilling subjects and who was funded by the CIA to erase their minds and souls. But I don't believe the soul can be erased. These were just some of basic techniques that do not include simulated rape, humiliation techniques, threats, desecration, suffocation, torture, sleep deprivation, privation, electroshocks, etc. The subliminal suggestion, neurolinguistic programming, hypnosis, psychic driving, Star Wars Jedi mind trick weapons only work on the weak-willed. Furthermore, the program incorporates every average human disturbing, fearful concept. It's similar to the movie Clockwork Orange, except in reverse, taking good people and turning them bad. Every visual, sexual, conceptual, audio, etc. experience that can be piped into someone's mind is used. Humans are controlled most directly by fear of death, lack of meaning, and relevance of their lives. The silent assassination through adaptive networks, Satan weapon, program gives you fresh meaning to the CIA phrase, if we tell you we have to kill you. The chatterboxes and the scripts aid in disposal of the target. The torture helps to depattern the good behaviors for survival so that the detrimental ones can be programmed in their place. This behavior modification death, along with remote control heart attacks, effectively wins the hearts and minds of any population. Purity control cultural warfare has been expressed in many cultures in Rome, Germany, China, and even France. France protects its language using nonviolent methods, for example, but governments fear change and empires have collapsed due to sudden cultural changes. This is the motive behind purity control. The Satan Wessel system can be used for purity control from communism, dissidents, or terrorism, but obviously it has long been used for much more than that. Thanatonology is used in the CIA and DoD for two reasons. They are interested in how to kill better and how to bring a detainee to the edge of death during interrogations. Thanatologists have helped to create the correlation of matrices of death risk factors to improve Satan's silent dial and lethality. They research modern medical studies in which are meant to save lives, then use the opposite to destroy lives. As interesting as dichotomy of economies we the people endure. Number 46 was a number beside this. It's at the bottom right here, and it was beside depattern. So it says, depattern is another term for brainwashing. It truly removes as much of the culturally programmed behaviors. In most severe cases done by CIA, paid Dr. Ewan Cameron, middle-aged people had to be potty trained to learn how to talk again after his experimentation on human beings. While there are many matrices for fear factors for which are most interested in the silent kill mode of the weapon, which includes secondary and tertiary stress risk factors. Remember that not all mind control and behavior modification experiments involve an early death. Creating the full death matrices is a Herculean task they've been working on for decades. This truly gives a different meaning to the popular expression, the devil is in the details. Let's look at some small matrices to understand the statistical math of killing. Let's assume an average age of 35 and risk factor represents mean time till death or a percentage of life lost. We also assume the average lifespan of 75 years. Example matrix, a matrix of correlation factors for early death. Behavior, alcoholism, smoking, drug abuse, bipolarism, schizophrenia, depression, suicide, isolation, paranoia, stress, panic, adrenal heart attack, poverty, violent tendencies. This was first hypothesized by a Russian scientist as a way to kill someone using the runaway adrenal pathways and neurons in the brain that secrete this hormone. The U.S. Air Force has validated the technique and calls it a remote heart attack weapon. It's poor nutrition to one, exacerbation of health issues, sleep deprivation, menticide, mental disablement techniques, distraction while driving. This is just different ways of the risk factors above in Matrix A are fabrications and merely examples to show how the human experimentation and statistical factors are discovered and correlated for maximum death probabilities of individuals or population. The following two matrices show different methods to induce the desired detrimental behavior. In this case, alcoholism and isolation, each with a cost factor and success probability. Okay, here's another one. Matrix B, alcohol induction. It's got time cost, effort, metric, success probability. So they got all this stuff mapped out on the success rates and everything. Uh, yeah, so matrix B, alcoholism induction, pain, non-pain conditioning, mood alterations, chatterbot. So they try to drive a person to drink. Example, matrix C, isolation, paranoia induction. It's got time, cost, effort, metrics. See, they got all this mapped out. Gaslighting techniques, stalking with verbal cues, stalking with to isolate a victim. Discriminant function analysis is how the statistical correlation values are calculated to disentangle the coefficients of dependent and independent variables. Multiplying the risk factor matrix by the induction method success rates matrix will determine the probability of silent death due to behavior modification techniques applied in combination and over a time period. One can see that the discrete death matrix gives a probability of death as follows. P equals EE see, I don't understand that, but in the above example, success of techniques are multiplied by the death risk of that category and summed together. So alcoholism induction 0.55, death risk 0.1 plus isolation success 0.74, death risk 0.03 equals 7.8% lost life. When all techniques are used, the death rates increase dramatically. However, this is only the linear discrete model and does not take into account the cost function. Maximizing this outcome while minimizing time and effort is the goal. There are many ways to find the maximum while minimizing time, cost, efforts, but it requires many sample points since functions are not linear. See the chapter on human experimentation, silent holocaust, and eugenics programs. It doesn't get more silent and diabolical than this. This has been the perfect weapon in that it has dial-in lethality, the ability to interrogate or program large-scale population or individual effects. Silent, deniable, and no blood so the public will not react, and it can be used in plain view anywhere on Earth. Better than viral weapons, biological, chemical, or dirty nuclear weapons. Nuclear bombs because there's no residual contaminants and no damage to infrastructure. Let's stare death in the face. Further refinement of correlation matrices can be developed for personality segmentations, language, and cultural factors. These in turn can be refined for population composition using stealthy statistical mass murder. This weapon system is easily automated and scalable since Gabriel is a global communication system. Giving life to Satan. Now it gets spooky. Artificial life is a term used in computer science when simulating and emulating life forms and the evolutionary process. Artificial neural networks, purely mathematical functions that simulate brain cell function and simulate human intelligence, can be involved using genetic algorithms. Emergent minds are thereby created. Tampering with genetic code and human intelligence creates aliens, as the researchers like to call them as a cover story. One should revisit the chapter on computational equivalence and consciousness in Volume 1 of No Doubt. Too bad Volume 1 was never published because he got threatened. In previous analysis of death matrices, discrete linear functions were used, but it should be obvious that nonlinear approximators should be used like neural networks. To refine the kill effectiveness, nonlinear functioning modeling should be used like a product marketing and other trials in human experimentation. Artificial neural networks are perfect for adapting and modeling these complex functions with little effort from human analysts and operators. They can learn from themselves. For all intent purposes, these torture to death programs and silent kill programs are conscious and have creators. This is how the national security culture gave rise to this automated weapon of mass destruction. These artificial constructs are demigods. Okay, spook is a term used in intelligence gathering community. All right, and 48, artificial genetic algorithms are mutation rates and fitness metrics to drive evolution to an objective. They are a popular class of algorithms because they use computing power rather than human modeling to get a solution. Okay, the entire process of eugenics can be automated when combining the total information awareness from Christ program, directed cultural evolution metrics, social engineering objectives, Gabriel's global communication, and silent kills from Satan. Later in this book, the reader will learn how the legal system needs to be more precisely define murder as a grayscale percentage loss of life to prevent use of these technologies and techniques by criminal cabals and government. They are masters of deception. Not all is lost. Positive affirmation through self hypnosis, like while praying, can counter many of the detrimental psychological effects of the Satan system's death march. The opposite of Satan program or Terminator programs could be created too for quality of life, optimizing happiness and longevity, but it would not fit well with biblical scripture. People are supposed to have choice, so a better opposite is simply a Bible or such where societal behavior programming usually occurs for good habits. Neurological programming could also be used, but individuality would be most definitely lost. This is one probable direction from the human cybernetic race will evolve into. Okay, and let's see. Mind games, psychic warfare, training, psychoterrorism. And I'll probably read the first part of this and then I'll stop it for now because I really think what we've took in today needs to be thought about and took in better. Okay, so we got a global human surveillance grid, natural telemetry signal street, eye gaze. See, I wish I had that. I was trying to visual audio cortex reconstruction, um, psychic warfare trainer, the pain game, brain mapping, cognitive model normalizer. Napoleon said, "You must not fight too often with one enemy, or you will teach him all your art of war. Talk much with any man of a vigorous mind, and we acquire very fast the habit of looking at things in the same light, and each occurrence we anticipate is thought. While most people take sleeping and dreaming for granted, it is a very important state that almost all animals need. Evolution needed a way to conserve muscular energy during times of inadequate hunting potential, heal the body, but stay slightly aware in order not to leave the creature vulnerable to attack in his down state. The sleep state in human beings is characterized by roughly a theta dominant 4 hertz brain hum. During this altered state, people dream. They feel as they have no control over their dreams, but dreams seem real at the time of experience. Understanding these altered states and subjectively while understanding their neurological patterns that give rise to them helps to complete our understanding of psychic warfare. Psychic warfare as a term is greatly misunderstood. It merely means mind warfare, which includes perception and cognitive interactions using chemicals, drugs, or electromagnetic signals, precisely timed to disable, kill, or take control of the target like any machine. The brain never shuts down completely. Sensory perception is very limited, except a sudden extreme stimulus in this restful state. The brain continues to process due to spontaneously firing neurons and due to sensory different efferent neuron stimulation, which is most suppressed during the altered state. These neurons act as a clocking mechanism for the brain. When the fundamental clocking mechanisms of the cerebrum change frequency, the overall patterns in the brain change dramatically. It's like having split or multiple personalities. This is why the CIA has been studying these altered states. These dominant frequency changes occur due to hormonal chemical signals, usually timed to circadian efferent electrochemical stimulus patterns like sunlight or an alarm clock. The brain uses very little glucose energy of the body, no matter how hard one thinks, so evolutionary pressures did not constrain brain activity due to this reason. The theories of splitting personalities and controlling human beings are directly related to these insights. The brain can contain a large number of fragments of thoughts, behaviors, and personalities. Read MIT professor Marvin Minsky's Society of Mind. This concept of the brain being able to contain many minds and personalities leads us to the final revelation of this weapon system: how to train so-called psychic warriors in their death merchant profession of controlling and killing humans with their very mind interface with another human mind, diabolically altering their very soul for their purposes. Some literature refers to this as remote viewing and remote influence, but it goes way beyond those words, as the reader knows who has made it this far in the book. He who fights too long against dragons becomes a dragon himself. If you gaze too long into the abyss will gaze back at you. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche's warning. While turning agents' loyalties and making targets commit suicide through despair and depression, these basic poetic principles of Nietzsche's are in play. This is a major thrust of DoD, NSA, CIA research, but the focus of the section is on how they prey on the less aware of the neurological weapons, using many forms of trickery. How are they trained to do this? I'm gonna I'm gonna stop at wartime intelligence. No, I think I need to. I'm gonna read the research notes and stop right there for the day. Imagine that you're in full, because we need to start. We need to start next time I do this, when we can concentrate on uh, how they are trained to do this, how they are trained to prey on less aware of neurological weapons used in many forms of trickery. I feel like that needs to be a video all in itself, so I'm going to stop after I read these research notes. Imagine that you're fully in the matrix of deception and propaganda by any government. In the U.S., we believe media covers important stories uncensored. Our senators are informed and represent us, and that we are protected by the Constitution and Bill of Rights. The reality of the corruption and direct deception hits hard for many as they become more informed and wiser through direct experience and age. A member of the mind hacking strategy group went to Washington, D.C. with the former head of Southern California's FBI to speak to the Senate's Intelligence Committee and Judiciary Committee. We won't mention any of their names unless they torture us, but the reader can figure it out based on time frames of who was taking up space in those positions. Our meeting validated our worst fears, that those in charge are uninformed and does not qualify them to be a watchdog of the criminal cabal of the intelligence agencies. They hadn't heard of any of the track record of the CIA's human experimentation on Americans. We even tested their defenses in the shielding meeting room against bugging technologies, and that failed. This proved to us that U.S. legislative branch has been overthrown by some relatively simple mind hacking methods. I'm tempted to go into this today, but I really feel like it's a video all to itself. Plus, I have some things to do and get done. So if you've sent me an email and I haven't answered it, please try to send another email. Sometimes our correspondence is messed up and it's hard to get emails through. So if you'd like to do a testimony or get on the show, talk about anything, let me know. I will be coming out with some really good information in the next few weeks. I'm still doing interviews, and I'm starting to see that there was one person, that refused to do an interview, but wants to be all of my business and stuff. Um, and I'm starting to see that they don't have a story to tell. That's why they're not telling their story. And I'm not saying that about everybody. Some people that don't want to do interviews or tell their story because they're worried about getting tortured worse, which you're going to get tortured either way. That's my take on it. They may appear to torture you worse right after you do an interview, but then they'll just slack off again. Um, but who knows? Different people got different. They torture different people different ways depending on the strength of their mind, how bad it affects them. Um, so what I've really tried to do is figure out this mind control stuff. Um, um, spiritual warfare. I fight it with spiritual warfare, multitasking, just little things I do. V2K telling me I'm gonna die before the end of the month. You ignore stuff like that. V2K is 100% lies. Well, it's not 100% lies. They will tell you the truth, and they might even tell you the truth for a whole week to get you to believe one thing they're trying to get you to believe. that they're telling you. But anyway, that's all I got. Next week we will cover. Next week I'm going to go and cover, like I said, the psychological warfare and how they um pull nano. I call it nano tricks. Robert Duncan calls it nano tricks. For instance, what they'll do is they'll see a target go by some shielding, and they won't hit that target for about 2 weeks. So the target thinks the shielding is working and goes tells all the TI friends, and they go spend all their money on shielding, and it never worked in the first place. Then the TI looks like he's a perp for giving wrong information. That's just one example. So anyway, God bless all TIs. I hope y'all have the best weekend you can have. All TIs are in my our prayers. And if you have any recommendations on stuff you'd like me to do videos, also put it in there. Also, I got an interview with Amy Holem coming up. Amy's audios. I read about it yesterday. If you have any questions for her that you'd like me to ask her personally, I will ask her. Put them in the comments. So God bless all TIs, and I'm out.